Yes.
Yeah, you can open the second integration, which is at least getting activated. We'll see what happened to the first integration later. Open it in edit mode. And today try to complete, do at least one exercise on each and everything we discuss, so that tomorrow
Yes,
I will
yes.
start talking about error handling and how we handle errors in
Okay.
OIC integrations. Okay,
Yes.
that is important topic. You can open the first one, not this one.
Oh, why this got open?
No, the first one, the first one. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we discussed about switch case. Now let us talk about assign activity. What exactly is used? Why exactly assign activity is used, and where exactly? So let us say you are getting a source information. On top of that, you want to have you want to feed the target application with the data, maybe hard coded or which can change dynamically. So basically, you want to define a variable. If you know SQL, right? You might be aware of SQL, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you will have local variables or variables where you can define in the middle of the script, and you can use it wherever you need it, right? The
Yeah.
same way, you can also define variables here, and you can use those variables wherever you want inside the process. So how do we define variables is using the assign activity. You can just drag drop assign activity anywhere in the middle of the integration, and you can start defining variables. So let us do that.
Mhm.
No, there you can click on the plus and anywhere. Just how we add any activity, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yes, yes. And search for assign. There is X symbol, a variable option, right?
So
You can search for assign.
assign.
Yeah, assign. ASSIGN. Yeah. Scroll down.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Assign activity is basically used to create variables and assigning some values to those variables. So you can assign a DVM value, or you can assign a function. You can write a function on top of that variable. You can do many things. Yeah, name this action with something like uh, variable assign or something like that.
Okay.
And then you can put some description. Are you based out of Pune?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Assignment to variable.
Okay.
And then now this canvas comes up where you can define any number of variables. So you don't need to think that you have to for each and every assign activity you will be allowed only one variable. It's not like that. You can go on create, you can just go on creating go on creating any number of variables as per the need, and you can assign some values to those variables, and you can use those variables inside the mapper, or you can use those variables to inside the switch condition, or you can use those variables inside a for loop. You can use those variables inside a while loop. We'll see, okay, how we can use these variables inside. I will show you how to use that in a mapper. Then you will take it forward how and see how we can use that inside a switch case. Okay,
Okay.
just click on plus there. Yeah, and name that variable. By default it will give some naming convention. You can override that name. You can just double click on that, and again, yeah, you can name it, say the test variable one, or whichever you want.
Okay.
Okay,
So
yeah,
this is
yeah.
the data
Description,
type.
you can put something or not needed, and then you have to assign something. What is the value you want to assign to this variable? Yeah, click on that.
So the initial value is mandate, or we can leave it.
Yes, yes, you cannot leave it blank. If you are defining a variable, you have to assign something to that.
Okay.
Okay, you can see here, you can either hard code the data, or if you want to write a function, let's say you want want the first four letters of the first name assigned to this variable, then what you will do? You will do the regular thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So you can either write a function and assign a value to this variable, or you can hard code. Whatever you do basically in the mapper, you will be able to do inside this assign activity as well. That is the whole point I want to tell you.
Okay.
Okay, now you are clear, right?
Yes.
You might ask me, like, where exactly does this requirement fit in? So I'll tell you. I can explain you a use case, but unless until you come into a real time scenario, you will not be able to understand that. But let me say. So what happens is, let's say you are getting first name as the source, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you are what should I tell? How should I put it? And you are transforming some data, and at some point of time, okay, you are transforming the source information to the target application, and then after say 5 6 of 5 or 10 15 activities, you want to again use the source information whatever you are getting. It can so happen that the source tags, right now the source tags, we are only having 4 or 5 tags. Let's say you are having say like 200 tags or 300 tags, okay,
Okay.
and you want to use say like 150th tag or 160th tag at the end of the integration to for doing some data massaging.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, you don't want to really search for that 150th tag and assign an activity. Instead, you know that you are going to use that tag very frequently. What you will do is you will store that value inside a variable. You now know that, okay, this is my variable which contains the value of the 150th tag all the time.
Okay.
So you are free to use that variable wherever you want, instead of directly depending on the source tag.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
now the XML which we used, that was just holding one record, right? So if we have multiple records in that XML.
Yes, if you have multiple records, this will not work. So if you have multiple records, what you are going to do is you have to have a for loop. And let me
Okay.
tell you, you will not, let's say you will not be able to define so many variables. So what happens is, if you define a for loop, uh, in the first run it will contain the first record's value, so first record's first name. In
Mm-hmm.
the second loop or the second iteration, the variable will contain the second record's first
Value.
name.
Okay.
So it
So
will
that
work
will
like
happen
that.
automatically.
Yeah, that will happen automatically. That system will take care of it.
Okay. And say, for example, I'm using this variable as a flag for some testing or say using for deviation. So in that case, how can I assign value
Using
at
for what is that?
deviation? I want either like in switch if I'm using,
Okay.
if the value is one, it should go to the first one, or the value is two, it should go to the second one.
Okay.
So the assignment of this variable, can we do it at runtime? Like when my integration is running, at that time, can I change the value of this?
No, no, you cannot change it.
Okay, it's
It
not.
okay. It's not dynamic, but you can make it dynamic by using a DVM. Say you want this value to be changed based on the input. Let's say if you are
Yeah,
getting first name as Ravinder, this value has to be 1. Let's say in the
yeah,
same time, if you are getting Madhu, this value has to be 2. Let us say that.
yeah, right,
In that
right.
case, you define a DVM and assign values based on that,
Okay,
because you can use a dvm function also in this assign activity, right? Assign activity. So
okay,
nobody will stop you to use a dvm.
okay. So these variables which we are defining now are something like constant.
Yeah, these are like constant, but if you want them to be dynamic, you have to use a dvm.
dpm. Okay, okay,
Yeah, that is I mean, this is assign activity, and this is how you define variables. And you can close this. You can do some exercises on this, like putting it in a switch case, or there will be multiple things you can do. I will give you some exercises at the end of the session, okay?
Okay.
And let us see what other activities are there. Click on that. So there is this flag, and above that there is some,
Yeah,
yeah,
target.
that one. Targets. These are targets. Okay, click on the flag. Flag is nothing but your components, ICS activity components. So we talked about assign. We know what is a map. And stage file. We talked about stage file while doing FTP. I mean that file-based integrations
Yeah.
we did. And if you have those sessions, just ask Ravinder to give you those sessions, and we will talk about your questions and doubts. Okay.
Okay.
And function process. Scroll down. Let's see what all we can cover today. Scope. Scroll down. Scroll down. Logger. Note. Notification and wait. Okay. Let's talk about wait activity. Okay. I'll cover all the activities, but I'm just going in a random phase. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is the name itself says that this will keep the process in wait state, say for how many ever minutes you want. Let us say for few integrations, for few use cases. For example, if you talk about JE load to Fusion ERP, maybe I'm just giving a dumb example. What we can say is after the UCM load, uh, the load to the interface tables will take some time,
Mhm.
right? After
Yeah.
loading the FBDA template to the UCM, loading to interface table will take some time. So to get the report, actually, we need to wait like 2 minutes or 3 minutes actually to get the log and reports.
Yes.
Correct. So
Yes.
immediately after loading the UCM, if you go and ask for the report, the ERP might say that the report is not yet available, or the call itself might fail.
Yeah.
So in that
Yeah.
case, after immediately loading the UCM, loading the FBDI to UCM, we want to wait for some time. So in that kind of scenarios, we'll bring down this wait activity, and immediately after loading a file, after a certain action, we'll put this activity. You can drag drop that wait activity to any of the, just drag and drop it to in middle of the integration, wherever, yeah, wherever you want. Yes,
So FBDI, just now you just mentioned that is file-based data integration, right?
correct, correct, yeah.
And the other one, what you said,
UCM,
SUCM. What is that?
universal content manager.
Okay. What does it do?
That is actually ERP term, Fusion ERP term. So
Okay.
any kind of load you want to do, be it JE, be it invoices, first in the ERP, UCM is the container where everything gets loaded. Let's say if you're loading an FBDI file. Okay,
Okay.
it's a CSV file. FBDI is nothing but a CSV file. First place where it goes is the UCM.
Okay.
There are some scheduled programs which run on Fusion ERP, pulls that file from UCM.
Okay. Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello, Ravinder. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Now I can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, there is power cut at my place, so I lost internet for some time. Yeah,
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
what I was telling, we were talking about UCM and all, right?
UCM, yeah.
Yeah, so once the file gets loaded to UCM, the next step after some BIP jobs run on ERP, which pulls the files basically from the UCM and loads them to the interface tables based on the property file we attach along with the FBDI file. So after
Okay,
loading them to the interface tables, there is a process ID that gets generated, and using that process ID, the details or whatever we load gets loaded to the base tables. This three-step process might not be the same for different modules, but this is a generic high-level understanding.
okay, okay,
Okay, this is not related to integration, but this is what happens on Fusion ERP.
okay, okay,
So in those cases, right, wherever we want, we if we have to wait for some time for the other processes to get completed before running the next process, we use wait activity to halt our integration from processing further. So you can
okay,
name this activity, say wait something based on your use case. Right, you can put 0 hours
okay,
and minutes, put it as 2 minutes or 3 minutes, whichever time you want to. So
okay,
now what happens is immediately because you kept this immediately after receiving the request, it will wait for 3 minutes or how many ever minutes you mentioned in that wait activity, and then process to the next step.
okay.
Okay, you understood about wait, right? I mean, we
Yeah,
use this very rarely, but it's good to know.
yeah, right.
Yeah, let's go to the other activities, whatever are there. Those are invokes, yes. Map, stage, function, then scope. Scope we'll talk tomorrow because scope is I want to discuss about scope along with error handling. We use scope activity basically to make to segregate a set of calls or to segregate one particular invocation so that we can handle whatever fails inside that scope. So we'll talk
Okay,
scope activity along with our error handling. So tomorrow we'll completely discuss on error handling.
okay,
And yeah, and for each is, yeah, let's talk about for each. You were mentioning, right? Let's say what happens in case of we have multiple records inside the source. Right now, you're getting only one record, first name and last name of one particular person. So there will be cases where you might be getting multiple records, correct?
yeah, right.
So in that case, you will use for each to process each and every record. Let's say you are getting multiple records on the target API. I'm just giving you a use case. You are getting multiple records, multiple persons from the source application. Let's say the target application, let it be Fusion ERP, the customer data management module. Uh, let's say it accepts only one record at a time. The API accepts only one record at a time, correct?
Yeah,
And you if you map directly, what happens, every record gets written and the API might fail. Instead, what we do is we run a for each on top of the records what we get from the source, and then we map it individually to the API. So
okay,
how let's see how do we do that. Okay, drag drop that for each activity. You can put it immediately after the request, or yeah, whichever wherever you want to, that's fine. And yeah, for each person, you can name it for each person. Let's say because we are dealing with persons here, let us put it as for each person. Let's say if we are dealing with orders or if we're dealing with quotes, we'll say for each quote or for each order.
okay.
So yeah, repeating element is nothing but from the source, what is the repeating node? Here we don't have any repeating node, right? So
Yeah,
our schema whatever we attached, it is not a repeating node. So what you can do is show me your visual, the visual which we created.
So this is the one.
right? So we have that hello world request, right? So let us do this. Hello world. I'm pasting something in the chat.
No, this is XSD. This is
This is
visual.
where is Visual, right? Yeah, it's fine. So I gave you a script. I mean, basically to make that hello world request repeating. It's in the chat. You can copy and paste it after element name is equals to hello world. Give a space and paste it after that.
Here,
Yes. Inside no no inside those double quotes.
here.
Name is equals to hello world. One second. Let me see. Your screen is blurry to me. Where is it? Hello world. Minakers is equals to 0. Okay, close the hello world as well. Yep. Okay, and now close that. Yeah, and remove extra double quote and just close that
So,
element. Okay, element is closed. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So now what happens is when you upload this schema, when you upload this digital and create a soap connection, your go back to your integration. I will show you what happens. Just make this as an exercise for today. Okay.
okay,
So you are going to create a connection with the new digital, and what happens? This hello world, whatever you're seeing right now on the source, right? That becomes a repeating node. Right now it is
yes.
not repeating because we haven't mentioned the minakers and maxakers. So